Hey, what's going on, guys? Xbox All In Live or Xbox All In channel. We're going live today. A quick video for you guys, something I wanted to touch on. I'm pretty sure you guys have been keeping up with the news as far as the AKB deal is going. As you know, if you guys have been on Twitter or social media, or just the news in general, especially on the gaming side, well, even on the tech side, because it's actually cross-pollinated between tech, uh, business, and of course gaming. And it's good to get a lot of different sources from a lot of different people in a lot of different areas on the internet, right? Just don't stay in that same, what do you call that? Try and get as much information as you can from different sources. You guys are in gaming like I am. There's a lot of tunnel vision. There's a lot of people just repeating the same thing over and over again. So what you got to do is you got to try and go out there and get a lot of information from a lot of different parts of the industry and even outside of the industry. That's what I try to do, and that's what I kind of base my opinions on. Now, much like some of the analysts and industry experts that are out there, right? You kind of just have to sit there, read, comprehend, kind of discuss, especially with people that you know, that you trust, that you know that are in the know when it comes to gaming and stuff like that. But as far as the AKB deal, I kind of want to put this video out here, like I did my video talking about it yesterday, and with the EU actually approving the AKB merger, allowing Microsoft to purchase them. That was a pretty big deal. The same thing that happened that a lot of people was predicting to happen with the CMA, and then the CMA surprised a lot of people by blocking the deal, right? So the great thing about that though is what the CMA did is when the European Union actually approved it, it kind of shined the line back on the CMA, and that's what you see a lot going a lot on the social media right now. There's a lot of people because of what the EU has done are bringing into question the CMA and their decision. And you know that it's a pretty big decision because the CMA actually fired back at the EU. And basically, right now the CMA stands alone. A lot of people are trying to bring up the FTC. Like the U.S. is a whole different ballgame than Europe or any other country. To be perfectly honest with you, and the burden of proof is going to fall on the FTC. A lot of it, like I said on my previous video, a lot of that is political. So you have to put that aspect in there right now. And if you guys follow the politics of America, you guys know who runs the Congress, right? You know the approval rating of the current person in the White House. If you follow all that kind of stuff, you understand that the FTC is behind the eight ball. I'm not saying they're not going to try and block it; they definitely are. Um, but again, has nothing to do with video games. It has nothing to do with the best interest of consumers. This is strictly political, at least in the U.S. It's a little bit different in the EU and the CMA. But since I don't live in that country. You guys do you. And so I just wanted to do this quick video just to, because the first thing that shocked me, I saw the news because by the time I woke up, I had to work. So then a lot of people were discussing it, and the news broke pretty early for me, but I couldn't do a video on it. And it was funny to me because a lot of people started doing videos talking about it, and it was a lot of the pony bots. And look, I'm probably not the best time to bring this up, but I just gotta say it. I'm just getting tired of all these chicken littles that are in our community. That when something goes wrong or supposedly goes wrong, if you guys follow my channel, if you guys follow the same people I follow, you guys understand that I have a certain mindset when it comes to this Activision Blizzard purchase by Microsoft. Dude, I've been 100% behind it the whole time, never wavered on it, and it's just because I look at Microsoft. They're a big corporation. This is something that they really want, right? And it's not that they're muscling out people and stuff like that. Now, Brad Smith actually did something good. I thought that was good for Microsoft when he basically kind of chastised the CMA because they needed to be chastised. But he basically came on and stood his ground, which I thought that was perfectly fine, right? And because Microsoft has done all the hard work, they've done all the heavy lifting. They're not trying to come in and just boss people around, and then all the stuff they're being accused of trying to this big corporate shell of a company coming in and just trying to force people to buy the Xbox. They're trying to get people on Game Pass and stuff like that. Of course, they're a business; they would like that stuff to happen, but that's not their goal to do that kind of thing. And it shows because you see what Microsoft has done. They've gone that extra mile to assuage all of the fears that all of these regulators have. And that's what you saw with the EU decision, which I thought was perfect. This is you can tell that the EU really looked at it. They're looking at it in a broader sense, right? They're looking at not just, in fact, one of the people that got interviewed, I can't remember her name right now, but she is one of the head honchos for the deal going through. And she basically said, look, it's not in their best interest. They don't sit there as a committee and try and block businesses just for the sake of and mergers, just for the sake of doing it, which was a kind of a clear shot at the CMA, if I'm being perfectly honest. Because when you look at what the CMA is finding, this is what they're doing. how you can sit there and try to like you have some kind of crystal ball and look what the future is going to hold, and not take into consideration all the other variables. Besides the fact that it's consumer friendly, right? It actually is going to increase competition, right? And for a lot of times, the people that are trying to defend Sony, I mean, if you guys were being true fans and you guys want Sony to succeed, you would like this to go through because it will force Sony to be a lot more competitive instead of relying on raising the prices of their games to $70, which affected the entire industry. Unless relying on them to start closing studios, right, and going to games as service games, right, which they're failing on that as well. There's a lot of things going on with Sony that they need to address, but because everybody's focus is on Microsoft and this deal, and you hear a lot of people online saying they're just tired of it. They wish some people are saying they wish the EU would have stopped it because they're tired of it. No, it doesn't work that way. Then if you're only going to be a part-time gamer, if you're going to be a casual gamer, then be that way. But don't make videos on this stuff, dude. Just don't be involved. Just play the games that you're playing. Play your CODs, play your God of Wars, right? Play your Zeldas, right? Come and play your Game Pass, right? Just do that, and let the rest of us who are actually involved in this kind of stuff, we're actual gamers that actually partake in the industry, partake in all the services, right? Support the consoles that we support. Let us do the heavy lifting. Right? If you're going to be that way, because that doesn't benefit anybody. You just put a lot of fodder out there for the console war, which will continue to happen. And this stuff is not going to go away. If you guys want to know the truth. But anyway, just glad to see that the EU actually brought some reason, sensibility, and a little bit of intelligence into this deal, because the hate that Microsoft was getting, again from the European or excuse me from the CMA, um, and of course with all the Redfall stuff going on. And look, I know a lot of you guys are not. Look, a lot of you guys just don't bleed green, man. And a lot of you guys, if I'm being honest, man, you guys are just weak. Dude, it's just sat here. I was more disappointed on the Xbox side than I was anything the Pony people were saying, or even the gaming media as much as this show for Sony, because I'm used to that. But when you have like supposedly a community of your peers that's supposed to stand strong on the product that you supposedly rep, right, or on the product that you supposedly use or the services that you use, and you guys fold, man. When things get a little bit rough, and it wasn't even rough, man. A lot of this stuff, what a lot of people need to do in the Xbox community, dude. If you can't handle it, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. Would be my opinion to you. But if you're gonna stay in the kitchen, just don't listen to a lot of the stuff, man. All this stuff that gets reported, that these sites pick up on and stuff like that, it's being done by people that have no idea, or they have a bias. Like I look out there, there's a lot of people telling about Microsoft go third party, right? Or Xbox is gonna die. And when you look at their profiles, dude, these are 100% grade A ponies. Right? These guys aren't industry insiders. And the sad thing about it is the media picks up on it, right? And of course, there's like the clickbait stuff. There's influencers trying to make their money, right? And then you see what happens, man, because the ponies, man, they're a bunch of sycophants, dude. Instead of they playing their God of Wars or whatever games they got on their side, or maybe they beat those games, right? But, because they only, they're like 8 to 13 hours, maybe they can knock it out on a weekend, right? And then they got nothing to do. Meanwhile, like on the Xbox side, dude, we got like Game Pass, which is basically Netflix. So you have all this variety. It's like a buffet. You can play or do whatever you want to, and then you're always stressed for time because we have so much stuff on our side that we can do. And on the Sony side, they don't have it like that because they've decided to do that, both as a company, right, and as a fan base, dude. This is what they promote: AAA, first party AAA bangers. That's all that matters. Even though the majority of the people on their side play third party games, right? Because if you took away all the third party games from Sony and you only had the AAA stuff, what do they have? They're not going to make it. And this industry would die. This is why I never considered them the industry leader. They get the biggest buzz, the most press, the biggest support. You have a media that fawns over them, that protects them. You have a fan base that's absolutely psychotic, right? And that's just what you got to deal with. That's why, for me personally, I don't care if they're gone. And for me, this is a step in the right direction. I'll say this kind of on the down low, I guess. I mean, nobody really watches my channel, so that's a good thing. But for those of you hardcore Xbox guys who bleed green and do it, I mean, the CMA and the UK and the FTC are looking at this in a certain way. The thing that they're not picking up on when it comes to this AKB deal is the momentum shift that can happen, right? Because of what happened with the 360 again, and why the PlayStation got a lot of these people. It's documented out there as history, and that's the bigger threat for them. That's why Sony's fighting so hard because they really don't have anything, right? Again, they just got the narrative. That's all they have, right? And when Microsoft starts closing these deals down and start putting those games out there that everybody wants to play, right? And Microsoft has basically covered all their bases, right? After since 2013, all these people that complained, they took all this criticism, they've addressed it, and then now they're building their own ecosystem, right, to dominate gaming industry and to push the gaming industry forward, which is the most important thing for me. But as far as the deal going through today, that's one domino to fall. Glad to see it. I would expect, this is me personally, from what I've been looking at. This I expect the CMA to kind of Microsoft's going to appeal. I'm looking at that appeal to be upheld, and that the CMA will have to. Anyway, they'll get the CMA. Well, not really the CMA, but the UK uh, underneath the supporting the deal. Um, because everything that was going on with the EU and how people were so confident that it was going to pass. This is why last week you saw the Prime Minister of the UK come out and basically talk about, we're business friendly, we are open for business, all those keywords that he was going across because of what Microsoft had said, and not just Microsoft, dude, other industries are saying that as well. That's the ramifications of what Brad Smith said, and it's not Brad Smith. He was just basically echoing what every other industry was looking at. Dude, nobody wants to go to a country and open up a business where they're not going to be pro business, right? It's the same thing here in America. It's just where we've lost industries and stuff like that too. So that's the thing that Brad Smith did. That was probably the biggest thing that he did, and then it set that warning shot across the bow. And then you saw what the Prime Minister said. Then of course you had the UK pass the deal, and that's why I think Microsoft's appeals gets filed. Either it's filed or it's going through tomorrow. There's going to be some action on that, and that's what I'll be looking at next, because I am looking for the CMA to reverse course on that. If not them, then the government themselves going to get involved and make sure the deal goes through. Then we march on to the FTC. Here in the U.S., we slam dunk those guys because they're a bunch of political hacks that really shouldn't be in charge of anything. Right? Again, smaller government is always better. So that's what I'm looking forward to. This video ran longer than I wanted to, but just wanted to get my thoughts out there for you guys. Sorry, this was a bit rushed and everything like that. But I got stuff to do. But again, I saw everybody giving their opinions. I wanted to give mine because some of the hot takes on this has just been really bad. A lot of the hot takes are coming from people who just a couple weeks ago was crying about the demise of Xbox. And these are the guys on our side, right? Xbox is going third party. They should go third party. They're losing the console war, right? They're being out consoled by Nintendo and Sony, by the Switch and by the PlayStation, which drives me nuts because they totally missed what Phil Spencer was trying to say, which was the majority. I'd say like 80% of the people on the Xbox side always do that. So if you guys want the uncut, unadulterated Xbox news, you can follow me here. Also recommend the other guys that I roll with, Mr. 100, E-Rock X, Hebot, of course, the world's most powerful game, Unlimited Truth, Sega Man, Tuckmaster, Others Inc. There's a lot of us out here in this community. We're not huge by any stretch of the imagination, like other people are, but we're gonna give you what you guys need to hear, which is the uncut, unadulterated truth. We bleed green on this side, dude, and I think that's important. Anyway, thanks for listening to the video. Xbox All In channel. Post Sega Forever. We out.